to the special meeting of the Bakersfield City Council. Now speaking, the Honorable Mayor Karen K. Go.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to call to order the 4 p.m. special City Council meeting of October 8th, 2025. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Go.
Here.
Vice Mayor Core. Here. Councilmember Arias.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Weir. Councilmember Smith.
I am here.
Councilmember Coman.
Here.
Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
Here. Here.
Thank you. In keeping with Council's resolution, public statements are received at different times depending on the item. I will call on the clerk to call for public statements. If you wish to make a public statement, please fill out a public speaker card, place it in the tray next to the speaker podium. We ask that you mark whether you're here to speak on an item listed on today's agenda or in a matter not on the agenda. Speakers who do not identify a specific agenda item will be presumed speakers for the non-agenda public statements. If you're here to speak on an item not listed on the meeting agenda, you'll be called first to speak. Statements are given a 2-minute time limit per speaker, 20 minutes total for all non-agenda item public statements. If you're here to speak on an item listed on the agenda, I'll call for you at the appropriate time. If public statements become disruptive and I have to clear the chambers to regain order of the meeting, you'll be called in one at a time to provide your public statement when your item is called. Everyone in attendance is expected to adhere to the rules of decorum established by resolution of the City Council. Failure to abide by the city's rules of decorum, including any disruptive behavior that interferes with our ability to have an orderly and efficient meeting, prevents the City Council from conducting the business of the city. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers regarding items not listed on the agenda?
Mayor Go, we have received one speaker card for items not on the agenda.
Would you please call that speaker, please?
The first speaker is Jake Mitchell.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself, and would you raise the mic, please?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Jake Mitchell. I live in Ward 5, but my issue is with Ward 7. I got an email today from AYSO saying that our games on the 18th are canceled because of an event that will be using the game or the facilities out at Kaiser Permanente. So I would like to know what the event is. Is it an official city event? Was this made public? Was it voted on? What was the result of that vote? And if this council voted on it, why is the council okay with canceling the soccer games for hundreds of kids for whatever this event is?
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Clegg, is somebody able to follow up with Mr. Mitchell? Thank you. We have your contact information. We'll do that. Thank you.
Just go? Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
We have not received any more speaker cards for non-agenda items, nor have we received any speaker cards for agenda items.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Closed session, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation, one matter.
Right. We're adjourned to closed session. Reconvening the 4 o'clock special City Council meeting. Madam City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. We only had one item in closed session tonight, item 3A, and there is no reportable action with Councilmember Weir absent. Thank you.
Thank you. And so with that, we stand adjourned at 5:09. And we'll start the next meeting shortly.
Welcome to the Bakersfield City Council meeting. This television broadcast is brought to you by the local cable companies, the County of Kern, and the City of Bakersfield. You can watch the rebroadcast of this meeting Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 10 a.m., and the following Wednesday at 7 p.m. You can download the agenda for this meeting at www.bakersfieldcity.us. Presiding over this evening's meeting, the Honorable Mayor Karen K. Go.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to call to order the 5:15 regular City Council meeting of October 8th, 2025. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Go.
Here.
Vice Mayor Core.
Here.
Councilmember Arias.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Weir. Councilmember Smith.
I'm here.
Councilmember Coman.
Here.
Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And we're so glad to see so many students here. I see we have a whole group from Bakersfield College, Chipman Junior High. Welcome. If anybody's here from CSUB Runners, welcome also. We'd like to see all of you engaged in the civic process. Tonight, we have the privilege of having Pastor Mike Sutherland from Mill Creek Christian Church to lead us in the invocation. Pastor, thank you so much for your investment in Downtown Business Association. Thank you for your leadership there, and I know your church is very active downtown. Following the invocation, Patrick Hota, who is a Bakersfield City Fellow, he'll lead us in the pledge. He's currently now a city fellow for the wastewater department working for the city of Bakersfield. He attended St. Francis Xavier University with a BS in chemistry and relocated from Nova Scotia to Bakersfield, plans to continue serving our wonderful community. So would you all please stand? Pastor.
So October is Pastor Appreciation Month. And so I thought it would be appropriate tonight to turn the table and appreciate you all. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you for all that you do for the city. I can speak as a pastor of a church in the downtown and as a citizen that lives on the west side of the city. Every day I see the work that you all do, and I appreciate it. It's tempting sometimes to think more. But I'm reminded of something a pastor friend of mine, Jeffrey Nelson, says, that if the devil can't make you bad, he will make you busy. And so, folks, I know there's always the temptation for another phone call, another committee meeting, another board to chair, one more. I'd ask that you keep your eyes open as I lift you to God. And let's look in each other's eyes as we can see our souls. And I say, God, please, bless these folks. Let them know the wonderful servants that they are. May they know that what they are doing is enough. And allow them to take some time to breathe and in the months ahead to enjoy their family. Bless them, Lord, in their work tonight and all that they do for us. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Patrick.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and you may be seated. And Pastor and Patrick, you're welcome to stay, but if you need to leave, we certainly understand. Here are a few guidelines to help our meeting run smoothly. We request that you turn off your phones. Please be courteous in the use of cameras and videos. For safety reasons and as a courtesy to others, no signs are allowed in the council chamber or in the lobby. Applause is allowed during the presentations portion of the meeting, but not during other portions of the meeting. Everyone in attendance is expected to adhere to the rules of decorum established by resolution of the City Council. Failure to abide by the city's rules of decorum, including any disruptive behavior that interferes with our ability to have an orderly and efficient meeting, prevents the City Council from conducting the business of the city. Consider this a first warning to everyone in attendance that conduct that disrupts this meeting may result in expulsion and or the chambers being cleared. Behavior that disrupts the meeting includes repetitive statements, shouting, hate speech, interrupting staff or presenters during the meeting, speaking out of turn, and outbursts from the audience. In keeping with Council's resolution, public statements are received at different times depending on the item. I will call on the city clerk to call for public statements. If you wish to make a public statement, please fill out a public speaker card, place it in the tray next to the speaker podium. We ask that you mark whether you're here to speak on an item listed on tonight's agenda or in a matter not on the agenda. Speakers who do not identify a specific agenda item will be presumed speakers for the non-agenda portion of the meeting. If you're here to speak on an item not listed on the meeting agenda, you'll be called first to speak. Statements are given a 2-minute time limit, 20 minutes total for all non-agenda item public statements. If you're here for an item listed on the agenda, I will call for you at the appropriate time. If public statements become disruptive and I have to clear the chambers to regain order of the meeting, you'll be called in one at a time to provide your public statement when your item is called. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers regarding items not listed on the agenda?
Marigo, we have not received any speaker cards for non-agenda items, nor have we received any speaker cards for agenda items.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Consent calendar, items 7A through 7I.
Thank you. And I see we have no requests for items to be pulled. Vice Mayor,
Motion to approve consent calendar.
you have a motion. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Weir absent.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Reports, item 10A, Multimodal and Transportation Safety Committee Progress Report.
Thank you. Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And as I begin to introduce this item, I would just also note for those who are here in attendance that there will be opportunities to hear from many on this topic. And while we handle our public comment a particular way for our earlier items, there will be notable engagement on some of these items here. Tonight, we're providing an update on what our multimodal committee has been doing for this past year, actually a little bit more time than that. And we're going to have several different components of this presentation. First, we're going to be hearing from some of our residents who are also our young students at Chipman. We're going to have a presentation from our Blue Zones partners as well, and then our Public Works staff will also have some updates on this. And so we'll continue to make some of those introductions as we transition, but that's just an outline of 3 different components of this presentation tonight. But first, we're going to invite Mike Hudson, who's a teacher for the class at Chipman Junior High School, to introduce students, and then we'll hear from the students some recommendations that are related to some of the work that the city's been doing.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Hudson. And just a reminder to all of the speakers as you come up, please adjust the microphone according to your height so that we can hear.
Hi, everybody. We're from Chipman Junior High School, and these are 7th grade students that have been working on this project for about a month now since school started. They've dedicated their lunch, they've given up their lunches and free time to work on this project, Safer Streets, around Chipman Junior High School. And I'm going to turn it over to them, but before, I would just like to say thank you to the city for giving us this platform, this opportunity to speak on behalf of our community. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. So students, as you come up, if you could introduce yourself and then just make sure you adjust the microphone. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kylia Webb, and I'll get started. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. We are students from Chipman Junior High here to present our project, Reimagining Safer Streets Around Our School. We see and appreciate the efforts by our city leaders to calm traffic and make our streets safer. We are here today to offer our support and encouragement to continue those vital safety efforts, especially around Chipman. This journey started for us with this driving question. How can we improve the safety of our streets while improving the health of our community now and in the future? Yes, we want safer streets, and we want to live in a healthy, active community.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Ethan Robles. Our goals with this project were to imagine streets that slow cars, protect walkers and bike riders, and connect our community. A community that puts safety first. Statistics show the youngest of our community are at the greatest risk of severe injury or worse on our streets. Chipman is supposed to be a neighborhood school, but feedback from our parents and one look at our parking lot shows us that our community does not feel our streets are safe for our students. Like so much of Bakersfield, the population in the Northeast has seen tremendous growth. The traffic on our streets has increased as well. The calming measures that worked in the past are no longer effective when it comes to making our streets safe for all users. We need to take measures to make our streets safer.
Thank you, Mr. Robles. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Juan Moreno. Our opinions matter, but it's ultimately parents who drive us to and from school. To better understand their perspective, we distributed a survey to gather feedback on safety concerns and potential traffic calming measures around Chipman. The results showed that most parents cited safety concerns as the main reason they choose to drive their children rather than allowing them to walk or bike. A majority also expressed support for implementing traffic calming measures such as road diets and speed reductions to improve safety in the area. There is plenty of evidence that shows that we need safer streets. Local streets in the Northeast, like Christmas Tree Lane, Wenatchee Drive, or University Avenue, have driving lanes over 20 feet wide, when only 12 feet is needed. So we suggest narrowing the lanes, which is proven to slow traffic, and use the remainder to enhance bicycle and multimodal space. For our collector streets like Columbus, Auburn, Panorama, and Haley, we're suggesting a road diet, reducing them from 4 to 2 lanes, along with a reduction in speed by 5 miles per hour. We recognize the potential this raises for congestion, but the fact that these streets directly serve our neighborhoods and schools means additional safety measures are warranted. Eliminating a lane would provide additional space that could be used to create a network of low-stress bike and multimodal streets that provide access and accessibility to the entire community.
Thank you, Ms. Moreno. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Emily Cummings. As you can imagine, University Park is a key focus of this project. With popular amenities such as the dog park and sports practice areas, it serves as a major destination for residents of the Northeast. To improve safety and accessibility, we recommend relocating curbside parking to create a protected buffer zone for pedestrians and cyclists, similar to the improvements made on Monterey Street. Additionally, we would like to donate a bike repair station to the city for installation at the park. This amenity would support active transportation and help reduce vehicle trips within our neighborhoods. Panorama Park is widely recognized as a premier destination for the entire city. Last year, students from Chipman conducted a study and found that the majority of vehicles driving by the park were exceeding the speed limit. This speeding, combined with the park's popularity and unsafe U-turns, has resulted in numerous accidents. Parks should be safe and accessible for everyone. In line with changes made at University Park, we recommend relocating parking away from the curb to create a protected space for both cyclists and park visitors. We also propose installing a crosswalk at Alta Vista to improve pedestrian safety. Finally, to help educate the community about our area's rich history, we recommend that the county, as stewards of the park, install informational kiosks. These kiosks would highlight the historical significance of the bluffs, including the Yokuts people, China Grade, Father Garces, the Kern River, the discovery of oil, and the unique geology of the bluffs.
Thank you, Ms. Cummings. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Sydney Sanchez. Connectivity for a community is always the goal for any transportation project. By creating a network of low-stress streets, we hope to connect the community to a variety of public spaces. The goal is to get people out, especially families, to parks and museums. A short trip via University and Haley will safely take people to Panorama Park. Continuing west on Columbus gets you to the Kern County Museum. Take Panorama east to Hart Park, Calm Lake, and Ming. We want to live in a community that offers us an opportunity to enjoy the outdoors without the stress of navigating the dangers we see in our streets. We know the importance of our message. We also know that education is critical to changing how people use our streets. It's been decades since all high school students were taught driver's education, and we see that lack of awareness every day on our streets. So our project includes the scope and sequence for a week-long series of lessons on traffic safety for primary, middle, and high school. The element of education gives students the agency they need to become invested in making our streets safer.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Next speaker, please. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Xavier Rios. While this project seems to be based around bike and pedestrian safety, it is also a good idea to start making room for a future that welcomes the use of multimodal transportation like e-bikes and e-scooters. Road diets and narrowing lanes creates a safer space for everyone. We hope to see a community that supports and promotes transportation alternatives that reduce stress, increase health, and increases the affordability and accessibility of transportation. We don't feel safe on our streets, but we try to develop a project that wasn't driven by emotion, but rather a variety of professional documents prepared and approved by the City of Bakersfield. So we aligned our project to be compatible with documents developed and approved by the city. It's been an important learning experience, combing through these documents and seeking the advice of experts in the field. We have a much greater appreciation for what it takes to design and manage our streets. We all know how dangerous it is to be distracted by our phones, yet we see it every day. So we decided to make a public service announcement to create awareness about the dangers of being distracted while riding, walking, and driving. With the help of Kern County Superintendent of Schools, we were able to put together a PSA that we hope will make the streets of Bakersfield safer.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
I am Leighton Powell. We learned that the Highway Safety Improvement Program has pre-approved countermeasures that are effective and measurable for calming traffic. In addition to meeting the qualifications to be eligible for state and federal funding, the HSIP countermeasures we suggest are considered Tier 1, meaning they are low cost and easy to implement. We learned that safer streets usually happen only as a result of a grant or request for funds. It was our intention from the beginning to develop a proposal that addressed the scope and measures that would align with HSIP state and federal funding requirements. This year alone, between the state ATP and HSIP, there is nearly $800 million available for projects like ours. Our estimated costs are moderate when you consider the benefits. The HSIP even specifies benefits or costs avoided when implementing traffic calming countermeasures. Using this formula, the $1.3 million in costs are overwhelmingly offset by the crash reduction benefits as outlined by HSIP. Specifically, we asked the council to pursue funding for implementation of the measures and elements outlined today in our Safer Streets project. We, of course, are happy to help in any way we can.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. And Mr. Rios, you're back.
Yes.
We created a PSA that we hope that you can enjoy, talking about how it is unsafe to be distracted by our phones while walking, driving, or bicycling.
Thank you. And Madam City Clerk, are we able to get that up?
Math assignment we have today? I know, it's so difficult.
It's so hard.
One glance at your phone could be the last.
Wait up. Throw our phones away. Okay. Let's look both ways. No cars. Okay, let's step out.
Stay alert. Stay safe.
Your life is worth more than a text. Keep your head up and your phone down. Heads up, phones down for a safer Bakersfield.
Chipman Chargers, thank you for your research, your advocacy, and your well-presented project. And now you're back. All right. Ms. Webb?
We walk these streets every day, and we know that thoughtful, safer design can protect our students and strengthen our entire community. While improvements may come with a cost, the safety of our citizens must always come first. We envision a town where everyone, children and adults alike, can enjoy the outdoors and feel truly safe. If you want to shape the future, you must let us help build it. Together, we can create a community we are all proud to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Webb. And does that conclude our presentation? Chargers, thank you so much. That was very well presented, researched, and thank you so much for your advocacy. Mr. Hudson, do you have any closing comments? Okay, yeah, that would be really hard to follow. Mr. Clegg.
I don't have additional comments at this time, but I think I would pause to see if there are council comments or
We have
questions.
to go to the public first, but we will go to the public first. But you have nothing. Madam City Clerk, are there any requests to speak from the public?
Marigo, we have not received any requests to speak
Thank
from
you.
the public.
Then we'll go to the council. Councilmember Gonzalez.
First and foremost, great job at Chipman. I'm so proud of all of you. Mr. Prieto, the principal, is in the back. Great job in leading the school. Really impressed. I'm very impressed. I do have some questions for you, if you don't mind. Is it okay if I ask you some questions? First and foremost, do any of you plan to run for city council? I think you should. I think all of you should. And I will run your campaign, all right? I believe in you. This is great. I actually wanted to ask you about the survey data. I thought that was really compelling. So I imagine you surveyed parents, people who were dropping their children off to school, correct? Okay. So when we in the community have gone out and surveyed folks, we get a mixed reaction to some of our infrastructure improvements. Some people love it, and actually some people don't like it. They don't like the reductions of the lanes. They don't like us removing lanes. Did you get any of that when you were out surveying from people?
Mr. Rios? Robles, sorry, Ethan Robles.
Although many parents may not have been on board for lane reductions and road diets, our data showed that the majority of the parents do think that these are necessary measures because they will keep our students safe.
So they may not like it, but they're willing to bear with it.
Yes.
Okay, understand. The other question I had is, when we look at bike lanes and especially green paint, sometimes we get a lot of pushback from community members. They wonder why we have to put out all this green paint and all these bike lanes because they say nobody uses these bike lanes. But I wonder what your thoughts are on these bike lanes. Is it kind of a chicken or an egg problem where do you think that if we build more bike lanes, more bike riders will feel comfortable? Or do you think we should wait as a city until we see more bicyclists? What do you think?
So with this project, our goal was to create safer streets or propose ideas for safer streets to encourage more people to go out and bike, because the results from our surveys show that parents don't allow their students to walk or bike to school because of the safety issues. So we would like to make the streets safer to encourage more people to go out and bike or walk.
So you believe that by making some investments in safety and in infrastructure, that we will actually be able to see an increase in bicycle activity in the area?
Yes.
Last question, more of a comment actually. Your PSA was wonderful. I appreciate that. I think it's important for all of us, whether we're walking or biking, but especially when we're driving, to not be on our phones. And I hope that you will consider making a second PSA, cautioning all of our drivers in the community to get off of their phones while they're driving, because I see that all the time. I see that all over the place. Too many people are on their phones while they're actually operating a motor vehicle, and that's far more dangerous than anything. And so I really would ask you, maybe challenge you a bit, to come up with another PSA as well to encourage all those drivers to get off of their phones while they're driving. But great job. I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just would repeat some of it. Great job. Really appreciate it. And if you're not ready to be on the council, we're looking for some mobility coordinators we've had trouble filling the spot for. I think, you know, we could get some help there. You talked about grants, and you actually had an estimate of 1.2 million, I think was the number, something like that. And so 1.3, and so I think this is a great beginning, and definitely helps grant proposals when you have community input. And so it's good for the city to follow up on that. And I remember we're doing University Avenue. Was that the part of University that is around Chipman or not? I remember looking at that.
Mr. Meyer?
I'll need to look. I know we're doing University, but I'm drawing a blank right now on the boundaries.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely awesome. And, you know, get out and walk and bike and enjoy it. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Wow, when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I think I was just worried about making it onto the basketball team and making sure the color of my braces matched the outfit I was wearing. So the fact that you are a part of the Chipman Junior High Public Policy Institute, I think you deserve another round of applause. Growing up in Bakersfield, you really become the experts. You are the experts, you all that have presented today. You are so incredibly fortunate to have teachers and leaders at your school and educators who are taking your learning outside of the classroom. That is so incredibly special. But you know what you're talking about, you live it, and you are speaking it into public policy changes. And as somebody who studied and got a degree in city planning and landscape architecture, I will say that when you're ready to apply for your undergrad or graduate degree in city planning, you have a letter of recommendation guaranteed from me, and probably my colleagues. I'll sign them up for that too. But we have a committee here at the City of Bakersfield, the Multimodal Transportation Committee, that Councilmember Smith, myself, and Councilmember Arias are on. And you'll hear about it a little bit later if you hang out with us a little bit longer. But you already are doing the work that we're doing at that committee. And so I just really wanted to commend you for being here. You could be anywhere. You could be doing anything else, but you're here with us. And you've reminded me of all of the infrastructure projects that I'm still waiting to see finished within my own district. So first, I wanted to commend you. And second, I wanted to ask, you've made some recommendations. You've studied your area. I really think that you all are the example that we need for the rest of the city. There has been this long, within city planning, there is, the routes to schools, school safety, that's funding that used to be available federally, and it's still a commitment that cities have made where the safe routes to schools became kind of this, not just a concept or an idea, but a practice. And you all are practicing that exactly with the research that you've presented with us. And I have brought up actually a project within my own district that follows a similar concept. But I would love for you all to talk to that school. And I just have I have one question and then I have one referral. But if there was one action we could take today as a city council, if we could make a referral out of all of the recommendations that you've made to us today, you've presented a wish list. What is one thing that we could make a referral for today that you would like to see come out of the presentation that you've given us? One outcome.
Mr. Robles?
I believe, although there may have been many ideas presented in this project, I believe our main focus was around multimodal safety and giving the city of Bakersfield the opportunity to welcome the use of these multimodal vehicles I feel will greatly improve the health and the safety of our community.
Thank you, Mr. Robles. I'd like to make a referral based on the presentation we've received today that the Chipman Junior High School Public Policy Institute becomes the City of Bakersfield Public Policy Institute and works with our Bakersfield Youth Commission to conduct this exact research in other districts, and is prioritized based on the traffic studies we've conducted throughout the city and have identified as school zones that need the attention where we may not have the capacity. And maybe these students have some extra time, and maybe our youth commission could help out and they could partner. But I'd love to formalize this Public Policy Institute under the City of Bakersfield. So that is my referral today.
Thank you. Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll echo the same sentiments as my colleagues. I don't remember approving this contract, but I am in favor of extending this contract with this wonderful group of students. Excellent job, truly. Just incredible data analysis, presentation skills, knowledge of how the work needs to get done and moved forward, but also tremendous display of knowledge of our community and how important these steps are, not just for the safety, which is reason alone, but also the added benefits of creating spaces that community can come together in a safe way. And so I just want to tip my cap off to each and every one of you. Congratulations. I agree. I think you've all got jobs coming here pretty soon as future planners for the city of Bakersfield. So I just want to say thank you for the work that you guys have done. I'm curious to know what the reasoning was behind taking on this particular project around your community.
Mr. Rios.
Hi. So in the past year, we actually did lose a student due to this project, and he was like on a bike. So that was about maybe a year or two ago. And we don't know if that was really based off of anything, but since it was really in our community, we decided that the streets around ours and many other schools need to be more safer, since our students will be the ones, or even adults, or our teachers, our principal will be driving on those streets or walking. Because Mr. Hudson here, he bikes to work every day because of multimodal.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Ms. Cummings?
We look around the community and we see that like all the problems, and sometimes it's hard to choose, but we decided on this one because people are like dying. Like 11 people every day die in the U.S. because like in car crashes, and we want to change that.
Thank you so much both for sharing that, and I just want to again commend you for taking action. Oftentimes, we are presented with, many problems, really difficult challenges here at the City of Bakersfield that we have to work through. But there are very few unique individuals and groups like you who step up and want to become part of the solution. And so I just want to say thank you in honor of your classmate for, attempting to make our community better, because it's my opinion that there's no dollar value attached to a life. And so whatever we can do to address that and prevent a future death and protect another individual in our community, I think we should absolutely take it up. And so I just want to say thank you all for doing that work. I too would like to ask staff to have a deeper conversation with the students, and also really take up their recommendation around education. We've done a lot of work around the city to install bike lanes, to make our streets safer, to add some of the speed radars that you'll see throughout town. Now, we need to double and triple that on our streets, but I think there is some real feedback that has been provided to us that we also need to pair that with education and teach community members how to navigate these new roads, because they are different. They look different, they feel different, and that changes really what actually creates safety, right, is recognizing that, now there's added buffers, there's added bike lanes to our streets, there's reduced speeds, reduced lanes. And so for folks who have been driving those same roads for 10, 20, 30 years, oftentimes we take those things for granted. And so I think it's important that we take their recommendation, and if we can make the ask of staff and take it to the Multimodal Transportation Committee and have that conversation. Would love to invite you all to continue the work so that we can get this done. So with that, just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Arias. Students, we hear a lot of presentations here, and I would have to say that this is an exceptional presentation. The way that you were able to pull together your research and then your communication skills. BCSD, Mr. Hudson, Principal Prieto, Tabitha, you all should be very, very proud of this presentation, and we just applaud you. Thank you again, and we look forward to continuing to work together with you. Let's give these students and their teachers and BCSD a round of applause. Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Clegg. And we'll leave you in the hands of Mr. Hudson. And parents, parents, thank you so much about your investment in all of this. So to all of you who are a part, thank you very much. This would be, if you don't want to stay, this would be a good time to leave. Oh, Mr. Clegg, they're not sticking around for your scintillating words of wisdom. Hope they are. The words, that is. And Veronica Morley's very happy. These types of, they make good news stories. All right, Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The second portion of our update today related to our multimodal work will be presented related to Blue Zones and a toolkit that they've been helping to build for the city as one of their projects. And to present on that is Ms. Karina Funes.
Welcome.
Hello. That is a very difficult presentation to follow, but I will still try to do my best. So hello, Mayor, City Council members, City staff. My name is Karina Funes, and I'm the Public Policy Manager for Blue Zones Project Bakersfield. And today I just want to talk a little bit about some of the ways that Blue Zones Project has been working with the city on trying to improve our built environment. So Blue Zones Project Bakersfield is sponsored by Adventist Health, California Resources Corporation, and the City of Bakersfield. So Blue Zones Project Bakersfield is a 5-year project. We are currently in year 3 of year 5, so time is going very quickly. But at the beginning of our project, we set some community-wide metrics that we wanted to meet, and these are the community-wide metrics that we set for ourselves that relate to the built environment. So they include decreasing the number of motor collisions involving a pedestrian, decreasing the number of pedestrian fatalities, increase community sidewalks, and increase bike lane miles. And from the information that we have seen so far, we are hitting all of our metrics, so we're really happy about that. And that all really has to do with the work that we have been doing in partnership with the city from recommendations from the Multimodal Transportation Safety Ad Hoc Committee. One of the first ways that Blue Zones Project worked with the City of Bakersfield with some of the built environment work that we wanted to do was the Active Transportation Festival and Summit. So Blue Zones Project Bakersfield worked alongside Kinley Horn and City Public Works Department on the Active Transportation Summit and Festival. And so outcomes from this festival included feedback from the community on the active transportation plan, but also opened up the dialogue for what they wanted to see when it came to creating safer streets. Interactive activities that encourage multimodal transportation, so encouraging more biking, skateboarding, We also had safety information on how to get around our community safely when it came to using multimodal transportation, as well as giving out some giveaways that included some free bikes, a skateboard, and helmets to make sure they're also getting around safely. One of the bigger strategies that we really tried to focus on early on was complete streets. In fall 2023, the City of Bakersfield passed the Complete Streets Ordinance, and there's been a lot of follow-up work that has happened since then. Blue Zones Project hosted a Complete Streets workshop that invited city staff, county staff, community members to try to learn about some complete street strategies, but also have an open dialogue about what are some of the challenges when it comes to implementing complete street. Niles and the Niles Monterey Complete Streets Demonstration Project happened early on during the lifetime of our project, and after implementing the demonstration project, we wanted to make sure that community residents had the education that they needed to know how to navigate this demonstration project, but also really understanding why we were doing these changes, why the city was implementing bike lanes, why the parking looked a little bit different than what they were used to. We want to make sure that they understood the purpose behind the changes that are happening in our community. And ultimately, it's to make our streets safer for those that want to bike, walk in our communities. And so on the left side, you can see that where there's like the pink dot, those were the door hangers that we left at the residents and businesses so people could learn about the changes that were happening on Niles and Monterey. We've also done some educational social media campaigns. Early on, we did the pedestrian safety campaign, and Councilmember Cora actually helped us out with that campaign in a video, so thank you so much for helping us with that. But we've also done some educational videos around the new bike lanes. We know that it is very different for Bakersfield, and we want to make sure that people have the education that they need to navigate those new bike lanes. So we did a bike lane education video in English, Spanish, and Punjabi to make sure that we're able to hit all of our community. We've also provided sample language and resources to city staff on complete streets. And we also have done several walking audits. One of the walking audits that we did with city staff and active transportation experts, we were actually able to have my colleague Yesenia. She was injured at the time, and she still wanted to participate in the walking audit, so we were able to get a wheelchair for her. And so we were on California and Oak, and it is pretty difficult for a person to navigate that area in a wheelchair. So we really got that hands-on experience of the challenges that we have on our streets. But it was great exposure for us to really see what we can do to make our streets safer. We've also provided feedback on the active transportation plan that the city approved. We work with national experts to make sure that the information on there is going to make us competitive and make it strong for future planning and funding. And the big topic tonight, safe routes to school. So as part of the Prosperity Neighborhood Initiative, Blue Zones Project is working with city staff and community partners like Children's First to see how we can do the first Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day next month. So as of right now, this morning we did a walking audit around Williams Elementary just to see what some of the challenges are around that school and how we can still have the children participate in walking to school and doing it safely while trying to see what are some options for us to do to make that area safer too. And this is just the beginning of what we're doing around safe routes to school. In the next upcoming months, we're going to be working with one pilot site here in Bakersfield, one school, to create a safe routes to school concept plan. And we know there's so many schools here in Bakersfield, and it's really hard to really implement all these safe routes to school plans at every single school. So what we want to do is create a safe routes to school toolkit that's going to help schools in trying to implement some strategies around safe routes. And those are the updates and some of the work that is coming from Blue Zones Project.
Thank you, Ms. Muniz. Appreciate it. Mr. Clegg, any further comments before we go to the public?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, are there any requests to speak from the public?
Mayor Go, we have not received any requests to speak.
Thank you. Council members? Can you clear the screen, please? Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank you, Karina, and the Blue Zones project team. As coming from a community that is the third, speaks the third largest, is a community that speaks a language that is the third most spoken language in the city of Bakersfield. It is always really heartening to see Punjabi language being included, Spanish. All of your resources are always made and recreated to create accessibility, not only if it's written, but also if it's video or photo. And we see you within our neighborhoods across the city of Bakersfield, and there is a level of appreciation that I just wanted to convey to you all. And I think you all do such a great job with having a diversity of events, from food to being physically active to having educational opportunities. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I know we all work together all the time, and so this was just my moment to build on the presentation we saw before and convey my gratitude. And I know there's more work to come. So yes, lots and lots of gratitude your way.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Karina. And Blue Zones has been a great help with our multimodal committee, as you mentioned, the Complete Streets Ordinance and having examples and showing up and being out in the community, speaking about active transportation and the safety in our streets. I really appreciate the work you do. Thank you.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yeah, I just want to echo the appreciation for Blue Zones, and particularly as it relates to the communication with our community members and our community stakeholders. It's really important that as we make significant changes to our roadway, particularly in areas that have not seen changes in decades, that we're working in concert with and in collaboration with our neighborhood residents. It is important that the city does not engage in top-down, top-heavy approaches to change. We know change is hard. We know it's very difficult and painful for all of us in the community to adjust to things, particularly our roads, which we all use every day. It's one thing if it's a park, right? We may use a park on occasion. It's another thing if it's a roadway. Many people, travel the same routes every single day of their lives. And so, significant changes is really sometimes a disruption of their normal routine. And that's not nothing. It's important for us to recognize that, not to be dismissive of that. And so what we need to do is more engagement. We need to lean in and collaborate and hear from the community just as much as, some of us feel like we may need to inform our residents. We need to be informed. We need to hear from community members. They too are experts, and they are experts in their neighborhoods. They know more about their streets and where they live than any one of us up here, even if we represented the area for 9 years like me. And so it's important for us to always stay close to the residents who have those experiences. And that's where Blue Zones, I see, really adds a lot of value in providing that conduit, that connection for the city staff, us up here on the dais, to really connect with community members and to have that ongoing conversation and to make certain treatments and then and improvements or changes and then to also get that feedback after those changes are made, and being able to continue to evolve and understand what people like, what they don't like, what's actually made improvements, what hasn't, and then go from there. But thank you so much for that ongoing effort and that ongoing conversation with our community.
Thank you, Ms. Funes. Thank you to the Blue Zones team. Thank you for making the healthy choice the easy choice. We get to see you all over the place and appreciate it. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
I'm sorry, Mayor. We have one final component of this presentation.
Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The last component of this presentation is an update from our Public Works Director, Zach Meyer, on some of the projects that have been completed and presented to the Multimodal Committee over the last year.
Mr. Meyer.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Zachary Meyer, Public Works Director for the City of Bakersfield. So this presentation is going to cover many of the facets and projects and plans that we've done that stemmed from the Multimodal Transportation Safety Committee since its implementation. Some of the things we'll highlight are some of the planning documents that we developed, some projects or items we wanted to do to make things safer in the public right-of-way. Some of them are very simple that can be done and administered by staff through a request. Sometimes it requires more comprehensive design and partnering with engineering consultants. And a lot of the presentation, I'll try to highlight school safety and things we've done around schools to keep in the spirit with the earlier presentations we saw earlier tonight. So as far as planning documents, we did develop a local roads and safety plan. We updated our complete street ordinance that created policy for engineering staff to abide by when trying to update and design our roadways. We developed a neighborhood traffic calming plan. And then most recently, we developed the active transportation plan, which does have an emphasis on trying to create larger thoroughfares of a biking network and for e-bikes, e-scooters, and for that transportation network throughout the city. One thing I will add is we are working on procuring our funding that we did get, we did receive from a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant to do a larger safety plan, which we're estimating between $350,000 and $400,000 of that report will be earmarked for school safety. I wish I had a better timeline today, but in the future I'll provide more updates on that plan and where we are. This slide summarizes just the number of requests we've received in different aspects of traffic calming and safety throughout the city. Some of these I have plenty of examples to go over, especially for striping, signage, and crosswalks improvements. Some examples of some speed humps, radar feedback signs, the RRFB, that's rectangular rapid flashing beacon. I'll show some examples of those. And then near the end of the presentation, again, show more improvements that we've done around schools. This slide just covers overall striping improvements that we've done throughout the city. A lot of these have been done with in-house resources. Some of them have been programmed through some of our larger projects in the capital improvement program. I believe there's, I think, 32 road sections on here that we wanted to highlight that we've made these types of improvements on. So to begin with the overall striping improvements, that's what the next several slides will cover. So in this example, we have Grand Lakes Avenue, where we did a restriping where you could see a conflict zone with the green paint. This is to allow bikers to know they're entering into a zone where there could be cars intersecting in that area. We did continue this from one project into another because we know Grand Lakes dead end into a school. So we want to continue those improvements up to the school. To the right, we have Ming Avenue between Allen Road and Buena Vista, where we've made some improvements, already showing another conflict zone for cyclists, and then showing the green paint and symbols just to create more visibility and safety for both the bikers and for vehicles. For this improvements, you see an intersection on Stockdale Highway. I believe that's at Stockdale and Allen Road. What you can see in that picture on the left, the yellow ladder striping because there's a school right near that intersection. I believe that's where Bakersfield Christian is. Again, you could see how much more eye-popping and visible it is to just bring more awareness at the intersection. And to the right is another striping improvement at Ash Road, again showing the green paint for the bike lane as well as the green conflict zone in the intersection. And more striping improvements. This was on Panama Lane. More of the same where we have the green paint and ladder crosswalks in the intersection to the right. Those are white because it's not a school zone. Where you see the yellow, that's where we would do the yellow paint in the school zones. So this is some more striping improvements, and this one's a little unique. Where on 18th Street, where 18th is on the south side of Truxton near Baker, we did put in diagonal parking, but we had a very wide road. So in this example, we repurposed the road width to add parking, and that allowed us to restripe the road to make it more visible, narrow in the lanes, and just make that overall more safety or safer just by adding the parking, and it allowed us to change the rest of the road section. And then to the right, another bike lane where we highlight the conflict zone on Select Avenue. These are road improvements on Brimhall Avenue. Again, more of the same, but one thing I'd like to emphasize on the picture on the right, we did a wider buffer in this area to create more separation between automobiles and the cyclists. So again, trying to emphasize more safety for the cyclist. And these are other striping improvements. The slide reads Panorama and Manor Street. This is just the general area. The intersection you see on the right, I believe that is Union and Columbus. The reason for the yellow paint, again, because Garcia School is right at that intersection. And more striping improvements. So this is on Stockdale Highway. And then Buena Vista, the picture on the right, where we did a lane reduction, having the wider buffer, and again, enhancing the bike lane, making it more visible. So this is a striping improvement, just one example at Rayford Johnson Community School. So having the Continental yellow crosswalk. This looks like we did looks like new concrete. So again, adding this was probably added, and then we had to add an ADA approved ramp and add signage to make this crosswalk safer. So I'm going to move a little bit away from striping and start to emphasize some signage and some other infrastructure. So the picture on the left, you'll see a radar feedback sign. So cars drive through here, they see what their speeds are, they become more conscious of their speeds, and it will usually tells the driver they're driving too fast, and they will slow down, again, trying to make it safer in the areas. These are a couple more examples of radar feedback signs. This is at Gasoline Alley, Quellwood Drive. One thing you'll notice too on these signs, on these radar feedback signs, where we have the pole, the radar feedback system, the speed limit, and on top we have solar panels. Because we're not relying on a utility to energize these, we actually have the ability to relocate these if we feel there's a higher need throughout the city. So it does grant us more flexibility and allows us to install these much quicker, because again, we're not having to worry as much working with the utilities. Some more radar feedback signs. One on the left is at the Oleander area, and another one is near a school zone as well at Frank West Elementary. More radar feedback signs. The one on the left is near an elementary school, Leo B. Hart Elementary, and then we have another one on the right along Christmas Tree Lane. And again, some of these we may see an area where staff feels we need to make these improvements, but I'd say a lot of these come from requests, whether it's people notifying our traffic division directly, putting in a ticket in our app, or reaching out to a council member, and that request feeds back to our staff. This is a unique improvement. We did this in the Southwest, one along Hosking Avenue, one on Weibel Road, where we had sidewalk gaps due to underdeveloped areas. So staff worked with some of our contractors. We made these asphalt dikes to create vertical separation and an asphalt walkway in the interim to allow better safety for people traveling or biking in these areas where otherwise they would have a road with just a dirt shoulder. So again, trying to make some connectivity improvements to make it safer for cyclists and pedestrians. Another example of trying to slow down traffic and make it safer in some areas around schools are speed tables and speed humps. We have a list on the left of some areas of, one area I like to highlight, or one example where we like to put these in, is on that fourth bullet. We have El Potrero and Mesa Grande. This is an area where we saw people are using local roads as cut-through lanes. The request came for El Potrero, but we knew if we put speed humps on El Potrero, that then traffic would just move over to Mesa Grande. So we went ahead and did both. So here are some examples, and I like to highlight just the difference. So the one on the left is near Stockdale Christian School. This was a speed hump or speed table that we basically bought out of the box. Staff had to go on site, assemble it, and anchor it into the road. We did find that that practice was very time consuming. We prefer the practice on the right where you see on El Potrero Lane, where we work with a contractor to just pour the asphalt to make a wider bump, and then we'll add appropriate signage as needed. So moving away from some of the infrastructure, I like to focus more on complete streets. Again, we do have a complete street ordinance. The next few slides will just show some projects that are currently in develop, and I'll highlight some of the concepts that we'll look to try to implement, on a case-by-case basis area, depending on what the need is for additional safety, whether it's around a park or a school. So this is a conceptual schematic for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. One thing I like to highlight on this one is you can see in that intersection where we have those peach-colored bulbs. These are bulb outs at that intersection. What that does is it shortens the distance that pedestrians have to cross to get from one point of the street to the other. Another thing I like to highlight is just to the right of that intersection, you'll see there's more landscaping that we're potentially proposing, but also keeping that vertical separation there at the intersection for the bike lane. So there's a bike lane in between some of the trees and the curb. So again, you're creating that safer barrier from automobiles and pedestrians and cyclists. So this is just another drawing, or probably a schematic when we're doing some of our demonstration projects on Niles Street and Monterey Street. Again, some of the same features where we have the bulb outs, and we have the bike lane tucked behind, a physical barrier, and trying to make it more safe. This is a one-lane road, so you could actually, it's hard to see, but you could see on the bottom of that road, it's actually a two-way bike lane. So again, trying to tuck it and trying to keep that separation between the automobiles and the cyclists. This is another complete street project that's currently in design, a monitor. I do apologize, what's written in the parentheses isn't accurate. It's actually the boundaries from South High School all the way to Golden Valley High School, essentially, so that whole stretch of monitor. But again, one thing, and we see a lot of the other features I talked about on some of the other slides, but again, just want to emphasize the city's partnership with Blue Zones, that community outreach. Some of these features that you see in this outline was because we met at Golden Valley High School, talked with the community, actually gave them diagrams and saying, if you had to design this cross section, what would it look like? So you could see in that proposed drawing in the bottom right, this is what some of the feedback we got from the community. They want to see landscape between a bike lane and the roadway, just so it makes it safer for the community. And what's interesting about Monitor, that there is a lot of schools on that corridor, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for these types of concepts. So to round out the presentation, I'll touch on some school focus improvements. So this is at 18th and Franklin Elementary School. Again, adding the bike lane, restriping it. These are things we try to do seasonally in the summer to try to get the area safer before school begins. So these are some flashing beacons that we did along Monitor Street. So we see these lights on the mast arm. These are things that are more suitable for arterials and collectors where you do see higher speeds, and we could put this type of infrastructure in to notify traffic that there could be pedestrians in the area. These beacons usually run on a timer that's coordinated with school starting and school ending. And so these are some other flashing beacon improvements that we made near Norris Middle School, and same concept. These ones are a little different. These are the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. These are actually push button activated. So if somebody comes and pushes the button, the lights start to flash. Again, trying to enhance safety around the schools. So this was near Norris Elementary School. Same rectangular rapid flashing beacons. This is at Morning Drive near Walter Stern Middle School. And you could also see in that picture on the left, we have a landing area within the median, again, trying to reduce the amount of conflict the pedestrian has to endure going from one side of the road to the other. And these are flashing beacons on Mountain Vista Drive near Earl Warren Junior High School. And these are, I think I touched on this earlier, but these are the striping improvements on Grand Lakes Avenue near Ronald Reagan Elementary School, where again, this was kind of just something we felt the need to do because we made improvements near the school and we want to continue those improvements all the way to the school. And this school also had some challenges with drop off and pick up, and again, felt these changes would really help that area. And then these are radar feedback signs at Beale Avenue and speed humps on King Street near Jefferson Elementary School. If you remember last year, there was some community, the Jefferson Elementary community was here at City Council wanting to see some changes and improvements, and we added speed humps and radar feedback signs in that area. So this slide just shows school-focused improvements. This is something proposed for Truxtun Avenue at Pine Street near Franklin Elementary School, in emphasizing enhanced crosswalks, bulb outs, and rectangular flashing beacons. So this is kind of the process that we go through before we implement some of these changes to make sure that it looks right on paper before going out and implementing. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
Anything further, Mr. Clegg, before we go to the public?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, are there any requests to speak from the public?
Marigo, we have not received any requests to speak.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always great to see all of these projects because we're working one at a time, and it's exciting to see how much we've done, and we're still planning to do more over the last few years. And it makes me think that, you know, it's not just the improvements, but it's how do we change the culture. Councilmember Gonzalez mentioned, you know, that people have been driving on the road for 20, 30 years, and they're used to doing it a certain way, and then we change it up on them. But as we continue to change the whole city and more people, it becomes standard, then that then changes the culture, and we can have a safer community because everybody's not used to driving 55, 60, 65 miles an hour, and they're more likely to be watching the road because there's more striping, there's more friction in the road, and things to look at. So it's a great start. We got a long ways to go, but appreciate the work and continue to move forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you for the presentation, and thank you to the whole team for all the work that you've done throughout the years. One of the proudest moments for me on the dais was when we adopted the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Toolkit, a more comprehensive look at how do we calm traffic in neighborhoods. And basically when we say calm traffic, we're saying slow people down. And that's the number one complaint I get in Ward 2, is that far too many people drive way too fast in neighborhoods and on neighborhood streets. And it's very dangerous. People don't like it. They don't like having their children or grandchildren play in the front yard because they're scared of what might happen. They've seen far too many accidents on the roadways. People want to live in neighborhoods where they can walk their dog, where they can enjoy their neighborhood without fear. And unfortunately, just far too many people and drivers just drive way too fast, and they're distracted, and it's just a deadly combination. And we've seen far too many people die on our roadways as a result. So thank you for all the work, and I agree with Councilmember Smith. We still have a long way to go. And I wanted to ask you about that. So the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Toolkit also has an approach that really empowers residents to petition the city for improvements. Where are we right now in terms of the number of requests we receive to calm neighborhood streets, and what does that list look like, and how many streets have we actually completed?
Councilmember Gonzalez, I did have that slide at the beginning that showed the number of requests, but the toolkit you speak of, it does show people what the request is when it did get put into the system.
Right.
I will need to go back to staff to get you some more accurate data, and also in terms of a timeline, where are we with, if we were to complete all the requests that we've seen, what would that timeline look like?
Great. And I'm looking at that, and I noticed that the first slide does indicate that there's a number, 104 traffic calming requests for fiscal year 24-25. Is that a cumulative total with prior years included, or is that for that period of time within fiscal year 24-25?
It's probably just for 24-25.
Okay. If we can get a cumulative number, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to see comprehensively, since we've established a neighborhood traffic calming policy and toolkit, what we've done to reduce traffic speeds in neighborhoods. And then more specifically, forgive me, but Oleander between California and Brundage has been a chronic issue with related to traffic speeds, and residents throughout the corridor have asked and requested for years now for more comprehensive traffic calming. We had the roundabouts in the past. What treatments are we looking at in the future, and when can we expect additional enhancements on Oleander?
Councilmember Gonzalez, I believe we're very close to that design. I think there's just some minor feedback going between our construction staff and our design staff, just trying to make sure we can implement everything we want to implement. But some of those features, yes, there are some bulb outs and some roundabouts that we're looking to do along that section.
Okay, great. And just so that I get a sense, is very close days, weeks, months? What's very close?
I feel, I want my staff to hate me, but I feel like we get like 100% probably before Thanksgiving.
Okay, cool. And I don't want your staff to hate me either. So I appreciate the effort.
I believe, based on my understanding of where we are with that should be feasible to meet that deadline.
Thank you.
Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just take a moment to just show my appreciation for how far we've come. I remember several years ago, Councilmember Smith and Councilmember Gonzalez and I and a couple of community activists joined hands out on Union Avenue to call for a change from Caltrans to completely modify the way in which folks move up and down that roadway, considering that there were far too many accidents and fatalities that were taking place along that corridor. And to see just the sheer number of projects. By the way, anybody who's interested in the multimodal ad hoc transportation committee, you just got a good dose of what we go through just about every other month, constantly looking in detailed fashion at all of the many projects that we now have in the pipeline. And so I just want to say thank you to staff for doing that work on top of the many construction projects and repavement projects that we have currently underway throughout the city of Bakersfield. So I want to say thank you to staff. Also want to say thank you to Karina and the Blue Zones team for help spearheading that effort. It's like Councilmember Gonzalez mentioned, it's the community building, community education, mobilizing the community as well around these really important issues that plays an important role. I actually wanted to ask, I think it's easy for us to see the sheer number of projects and pretty easily be impressed. But if we're really going to transform, the city of Bakersfield, we have a lot more work that still needs to be done. And so my question is more capacity driven. We know that, we've, had some changes to both staffing levels and also to budget levels across the board. Have we seen impacts in our ability to get at some of our restriping efforts throughout the city?
Councilmember Arias, right now, I'd say we haven't. I'd say that's a combination of there's some funding we still had from last year's capital improvement program that we've carried over a couple of years for traffic calming that we can still tap into to keep up with. You're talking specifically about striping. I feel we could keep up with striping this fiscal year, but something we may need to discuss further as we go into the following fiscal years in terms of what resources do we need to keep up.
And if I may, Councilmember, Mayor, and Council, I'd also just add that I agree with Zach about the striping piece. I think the large complete streets projects, we've been fortunate to get big grants. There's the possibility to still get big grants. The federal funding dynamic is shifting. We don't actually have full clarity yet on what infrastructure they're more likely to fund. But don't also forget that we had $5 million from ARPA that we put into safe routes projects, specifically in our qualified census tracts. And we've also, had some one-time monies from the city budgeting process that were, one-time carryovers that allowed us to put more money into some of those projects. And so I do think that the number of really large projects, let's say like the Niles Monterey and the 18th, 19th, and 8th Street, I think we're going to be challenged to continue to fund them at the same level as we have the last 3 or 4 years from grants. And I think also we have had that influx of one-time monies to help us do more safe routes. And we have several projects that we've fully designed that are either fully funded or very close to fully funded that we're going to be able to complete. But I think we'll see a little bit of a pinch in the next couple of years of just how many of those big projects we can take on. We actually have several projects that are in design that are more in the 60% design that are not fully funded. Now we're still going to have CMAQ, we're still going to have ATP, but I think we'll probably see not quite the same number of projects, enough funding for in the next few years.
Got it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it's my understanding that we have to spend down all ARPA dollars and allocations by the end of 2020. Is it 6?
That is correct.
So that's, I suppose, some good news that we do still have some time to be able to spend that down, but certainly something very important for this council to consider as we see some of those reduced dollars come in from some of those grant allocations.
And it just strikes me too, if I may, sorry I didn't include this earlier, that we've been fortunate to pursue a large earmark for Monitor. We do think that is still going to come through, but it has yet to be 100% finalized. And then, the multimodal had requested that we do several demonstration projects to just, both try to see if things work well, but also to show which things, do work well or not. And we have several large demonstration projects that we've been in design on and planning on, but they're going to be coming in this, next year and a half, that are the beneficiaries of those larger sort of chunks of money that we had. That will be really interesting projects to see come forward to do things that we've never done before, as far as larger sections of full buffering of some of those lanes, or this Monitor is one of those as well, where we have the large corridor of improvements around several schools, the Stone Creek Loop. There's going to be several demonstration projects that are going to teach us a lot in the next couple of years.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I want to thank you for this report. I appreciate it. I'm going to be a little bit of a devil advocate, though, and I'm the minority opinion on these things. But I wanted to ask about, you have this, it's got a slide number 3, and you talk about total traffic calming requests. Who are these requests from?
Councilmember Coleman, as I alluded to earlier, sometimes the requests come straight to our department. People call, we forward them to our traffic engineering division, and they input the request. Sometimes we receive things on the city app, So we receive that information on the app, and then we funnel it to traffic engineering, and they log it in with GIS staff. And then sometimes it's constituents that aren't aware of either of those options. They'll reach out to their council members directly, and then we'll see that information funnel down to us.
I don't think anybody can really dispute that we need to really protect near and around our schools. And I don't think anybody disputes that. But I get a lot of concern about what we're doing on the major roads, and specifically the arterials. Can you talk a little bit about what the plan is for the arterials?
Councilmember Coleman, for arterials, again, we will still try our best to adhere to the complete street policy that was adopted by the city council. It's in our ordinance. With higher speed arterials, there are some other factors we have to take into account, whether it's following policies and guidelines at the state level or other standards that have been adopted by the city. It's something we're still continuing to discuss, still trying to see what are the best solutions. But I would say ultimately is, we look at the current traffic volumes, we look at current traffic counts, we look at the number of intersections, we weigh everything. We look to see if there's a higher need for safety given the volumes we see for pedestrians and bikes. We do those counts. So we do factor it all. But overall with our arterials, they do come with more things that we have to abide by. It's harder for us to, like when you look at the improvements we're trying to do on Monitor Street, for example, there's arterials that intersect with there. We look to try to do bulb outs of those intersections, but we have to be very conscious of what that impact would have on the arterial. So I'd say we have policies and guidelines that we try to do to make it safer for bikes and pedestrians, but there are all these other factors we have to take: traffic volume, traffic speeds, traffic counts. We have to take all that into account, and usually no two arterials are the same. So it's hard for me to just say, here's what we're going to do for all arterials. We do try to do our best to study and evaluate them.
If I may, council member, also add into that, because I appreciate that Mr. Myers being very thorough as well as being diplomatic, but I think if I could kind of non-technical summarize it down the way I think about arterials, I think we're going to see less changes to arterials. Arterials are more likely to see lanes narrowing, but we're not likely to see as many of these other treatments that you saw in some of the photographs of, there's so many different options you can do with the crosswalks and the bulb outs and the buffers. I think overall, though, and this is consistent even with direction from the multimodal committee, is our arterials are there to move a lot of people and goods, and we want to do that safely for everyone and continue to have multimodal options. But I think we're going to see less dramatic changes to our arterials overall, while we still try and narrow lanes and kind of slow people down, but we're not going to see as many of the creative treatments on our big arterials as we do on our collectors and around our schools.
If I can ask you one more question, I'll get back to this, the traffic calming request in a minute. District Boulevard, where's the traffic calming on District Boulevard? You mentioned District Boulevard. You had done some traffic calming there.
It might have been in that area, but I don't have the exact location off the top.
Because my question would be, who requested a traffic calming on District, anywhere from Gosford to Stein? I mean, it's all commercial there, so why would you do anything?
Again, if it may be on District, but it could have been at an intersection. I'd have to follow up with you on that.
All right, so I want to get back to the traffic request numbers, because this has been around since 2023, and we've only had 104 calming requests, or is that for this year?
That's for that fiscal year, so we probably have the actual numbers probably higher.
So where's the number of people that call up and say, stop doing this? I don't like the reduced lane on Buena Vista or Picker Road.
I don't have that number with me, but you are correct. We do get people that we make changes, and some people aren't happy with them. I take that feedback in terms of we need to do a better job communicating and doing better outreach beforehand.
Do you track those requests or no?
I don't know if we have a formal tracking request, but again, I believe this is information I can get.
I'm not trying to pin you down. I'm sorry. I just I get a lot of complaints about the traffic calming, and when I look at it, especially on the major streets, I look at it as, you know, the bike lane's great. You know, I think we can justify the bike lane in most cases. I think we can throw out the section of Buena Vista between Stockdale and Ming Avenue and say that was an experiment that, you know, maybe didn't work out the way we anticipated, but we're not going to pay to repave it or repaint it. But to me, it seems like the issue is not the bike lane, it's the buffer lanes that we put on these roads. And I still struggle with that, you know, we have 8 and 11-foot wide buffer lanes and a bike lane. And so I just still struggle with that whole issue. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Just in line with that, on the requests, are they unduplicated requests? Is it the same person? I get requests on topic X from the same person 3 times a day. Are these unduplicated requests or?
I apologize, Mayor. I wasn't prepared to speak
Okay,
this extensively about the nature of our request.
Yeah, all right. But just to keep in mind, when we get numbers like this, it's hard for them sometimes for us to get them in context, given, yeah.
Noted.
All right, next person will be Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. One, thank you for this report. It's always nice to get the updates in committee, but to share it with the public is adds more room for feedback, but also allows for us to have more conversation. I wanted to just publicly thank you for repaving Panama Lane. That project moved very quickly, but I can say that there is so much positive feedback for just folks having a smoother drive to work, to driving their children to school, to going to the grocery store, whatever it may be. So between Stein and up until Gosford, we've repaved Panama Lane, and it is much smoother. The lanes are clearer, and there is tons and tons of positive feedback coming in. And even with the bike lanes, I've seen folks just seeing that striping. I've seen young folks who are able to now use that to get to school, get to the shopping centers nearby. And I know we have more plans to see where we can add sidewalks. And the photos were in here as well. One I think is helpful to see, like a before and after of some of these. It just, you know, one, if I know all of us in this room have probably driven down Panama Lane, and I will just use that as the example out of Ward 7. But my tires are way more thankful as well. So if my tires could report out a word of gratitude as well as a before and after, I think it helps us to share that with the public and capturing that. I'm sure that the department does. I think that was most of my commentary. I just wanted to say thank you and for the continued work to come. And I actually had a question about something that I saw online that I shared with Councilmember Arias and Councilmember Smith. When is street, like machinery that we acquire within the department to build out streets, is that machinery that we purchase? Is that within kind of the industry? Are you able to rent that? Like you have a certain type of machine that's able to put like for example, a concrete barrier between the road and the sidewalk. I saw this video out of a city in Texas, and I'm curious if we're just able to explore that machinery instead of adding the fiscal constraint of purchasing that within cities, within the industry. Are you able to rent those kinds of machinery to kind of experiment? How does that work?
Vice Mayor Core, we could potentially do something like that. The type of machinery you're describing, I'm not aware of it, but again, anything that could increase the efficiency and how we do our work. I mean, right now, I'd say our concrete work is very manual, very labor intensive. So if there was something out there that could improve that, we would explore it. Overall in the department and many other areas, we do sometimes find something that's innovative and cutting edge, and we always try to pilot it first or try it. Or if they're using it in Texas, we've sent staff out of state to explore equipment, talk directly to the manufacturer. So we could definitely explore that.
Okay, we're able to do this, so this is a practice within the industry. Okay, I was just curious. Since we talked about it, I thought I'd just ask you directly. And my other question is, in increasing pedestrian safety, just in general within the city, I know I've asked this question in the committee before, having kind of our standards within the city be where, you know, in some parts of the city, it just like sidewalks, I think, you know, unless you really get into the depths of it, a sidewalk is usually something that a developer puts in, right? And that's kind of why when you see in your neighborhood that there might be a sidewalk and then there's this huge gap and there's not enough sidewalk, or it doesn't continue to take you from point A to point B, and that's why you can't walk to your park, and a lot of us are in our cars. What is the standard that we need to change or adjust so that sidewalks can be built with continuity? That's my first question. And my other is, when sidewalks are put in and we have new developments or we improve sidewalks, there's usually, in some parts of our city, we practice it already, and I'm sure it's developer-based, but in most cities, what happens is you put landscaping in between the roadway and the sidewalk. Does that need like its own ordinance, or does that need its own kind of, what do you need from the city in order to that become kind of our standard across the board, to have a development standard that then protects pedestrians kind of across the board?
Vice Mayor Core, to answer your first question about responsibilities of who puts a sidewalk, and you're correct, it typically is dependent on the developer. If somebody is developing an area, they're usually just conditioned to put in front of their property. You know, you have seen us in the past where we have tried to do some infill projects that are kind of like a stopgap solution, like those asphalt walkways. Typically, the city hasn't really built sidewalks with our own capital improvement program, I'd say, outside of the dollars we received from ARPA, because ARPA allows us to do that. And then we also do some HUD projects in underdeveloped areas where everything's already built, but the sidewalk wasn't put in. So we do try to chip away at these gaps, but if something's not developed, that's something we would have to discuss in more depth. Maybe that could be a topic at committee in terms of what are some possible options.
Yeah, could we bring that back to committee where we are able to compare other cities that have this ordinance where the responsibility is on the city to put in the sidewalks, so that we have continuity within neighborhoods where there is, especially like this piecemeal sidewalk system that we see?
Okay.
Same with my second question.
Okay, and I do believe we already have standards for meandering sidewalks. And so when you have the meandering sidewalk, you do have that space in between the curb and the sidewalk where there is landscaping.
Right, but I don't think that's something everybody is practicing. And I don't mean meandering, because meandering is very different than just the landscaping, the sidewalk, landscaping, and the roadway. So I think that's what I'm more hinting at, is if we can bring back an ordinance that's reflective of that and that becoming our standard, and really creating this permanency of pedestrian safety, and it isn't meandering or isn't dependent on the developer. As I see new development going in Ward 7 and other places in our city, we're not practicing meandering, but we're also not necessarily having this standard or this expectation that we are committed to keeping pedestrians safe in creating and how we design our roadways as well.
Mr. Clegg.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor. Just a couple of additional thoughts to the second question first. Our new standard does include that buffer, between curb and gutter and sidewalk. There may be scenarios Of course, that's more so towards, collectors, arterials, and in particular commercial areas. There are some residential areas, of course, where the sidewalk is allowed to be closer to the curb and gutter, depending on how much right-of-way is available, and depending on if there's other projects already in place and if they're going to have continuity of those sidewalks. But our current, and we're happy to review in multimodal that standard. I think that's a good idea because our new updated development standards do require that buffer and the meandering sidewalk. To the first question, I think it's worthy of conversation. Just a couple of other considerations ahead of coming back to committee. If we develop a standard where the city is responsible for infill, I think it probably would make sense to consider under what circumstances, how much gaps are there, but if it's a really long gap, is that all the city's responsibility? And we may have an ordinance that requires that, but then we have to set aside the funding to do that. And so we don't really have a CIP program that has contemplated that level of sidewalk development, and it would be just in consideration with the many other CIPs that we do. We'd have to look at what those potential costs would be as well.
Anything else? Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple comments on some of the Vice Mayor's conversation. On the sidewalk, I know we've talked about on local streets, the monolithic curb gutter sidewalk was our standard for a long time, but I thought that because of accessible, that we had to get away from that because it's very difficult for the wheelchairs to go up and down the driveways, and we had to create where you went around the driveways, and really it was just better to separate it. Where did we end up on that? Is it our standard is still the monolithic, that you can put that in if you want, but you have to go around for the driveways?
Yeah. Go ahead, Phil.
Councilmember Smith, our current intelligence and design standard, you can actually choose to do either. You do have to do the easements around the back of the driveway. Sometimes it's just based on the right-of-way widths that the developer chooses. So we do have some developers that choose to separate them. We have others that want to pull them up more monolithic. So it may change. If we're wanting all developers to build the sidewalk detached, then that would be a standard that we would want to not allow the other
Right.
attached method.
It might be, I agree, but I guess it would be good to look at to see what people are really doing, because I'm not sure that it saves you any money anymore because of the going around the driveways and having to actually work through all of that. And the second thing was her comment about the machine and the extrusion of concrete. I think when she sent it to me, I think it's just a curb and gutter machine with, they always have different attachments. Instead of just pumping out the curb and gutter, it's got a different form that you attach on it, and it looks more like a buffer type thing for a bike lane. Does the city have curb and gutter machines, or when we do it, it's all by hand? We don't have curb and gutter machines?
Councilmember Smith, the city crews usually do all the demo work and the forming, and then we usually rely on contractors to pour the concrete and take over that after. So it's a more manual.
Okay, but what I'm talking about is, when a developer does a subdivision, you set up string line and you pour 1,000 feet in a day of curb and gutter. I mean, it's not like forming and pouring way faster. And if you're pouring on top of asphalt, then you could do a lot. We don't have a curb and gutter machine, I don't think. Yeah. And then I just wanted to address Councilmember Coleman's problem with the buffer lane. And again, where we've done those is where we have an existing 12-foot lane and a 24-foot lane. It started out, and Buena Vista's example, and Brim Hall is another existing example. You look at Brim Hall between Allen and Jewetta, and it's a 12-foot lane and a 24-foot lane and a 5-foot bicycle lane. And the traffic volumes don't require 3 lanes. Our general plan, our standards required 3 lanes because we didn't know what densities were going to be and how it was going to work out. But to use that as 2 12-foot lanes, a buffer lane, and a bicycle lane and stripe it doesn't reduce the amount of traffic. It lets traffic know where they should be in the road. And it also, long-term, saves money for the city because when we go back to repave, then the traffic has only been on those 2 travel lanes. So we're repaving 24 feet versus 36 feet when we just stripe 1 lane and we have a 12-foot and a 24-foot lane. So it's actually saves taxpayers money in the long run and is safer and looks much more professional, is my opinion on that subject. Thank you.
Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, Mayor. Agree with my colleagues. I think the buffer lane is almost just as important as the bicycle lane when we're talking about making improvements to increasing safety on our streets. Just because we install a bike lane does not necessarily mean that it is safe to use that bike lane. And on top of that, oftentimes it's also, we're dealing with the perception of safety as well, whether or not you as a bicyclist feel safe biking that corridor. I'll use this opportunity to manifest a project that we're hoping to bring to life, which is the 8th Street corridor, where in its current design, south of Brundage, we've got 2 lanes going both directions and very little space for the installation of a bike lane. And even if we did do that, I would be very surprised if we found too many bicyclists actually utilizing that lane, simply because there's not a whole lot of space between oncoming traffic and where the bicycle lane would be. So the hope is that we're able to work with Kern Delta and create some space along that corridor so that we can add, it's called I believe, Class 4 cycle track headed north and south along that corridor. But that's
Class 1.
Class 1?
Yes.
Going north and south?
If we're able to get it, within the boundary of where the canal is, and you have basically the separation of the road and where it is, kind of like how we're doing with the Bryant Kern Canal and even our current Kern River bike trail. If you have that space in between the roadway, then that's defined as Class 1.
Perfect. Let's do that. And just wanted to echo my shared sentiments that those buffers are critical, and it doesn't always need to just be striping. I think we've opted for striping because it allows for us to do more projects throughout the city because paint is relatively cheap. But in particular areas, where the Vice Mayor has highlighted, I think there's critical corridors that are particularly dangerous that we need to install, more hardened, concrete barriers, whether that be some of the plastic, gosh, I forget what they're called, but we also have bollards that we can install, and there's so many different ways, and I think we need to look at some of those more dangerous corridors and figure out how we can make some of those upgraded improvements. The actual comment that I wanted to make was more related to the budget. We've made significant investments in not only restriping and adding bicycle lanes, but we've also over several years with the use of state grants, federal grants, and our local resources through PSVS, we've made significant efforts and strides in repaving a lot of our streets and roadways throughout the city of Bakersfield. And as we see our budget flatten just a little bit over the next couple of years, I think it's important for us to take stock of all of the deferred maintenance that we as a city have tackled over the past 5-6 years. I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that for a very long time, the city was running very lean, and we as a council and as a community inherited a lot of deferred maintenance items that needed to be addressed. Decades of neglect on our recreation and parks investments, on the aquatic center, on a lot of our police and fire stations, you name it. And so tangentially related to this item, I would like to ask staff, I know it's going to take quite a bit of homework more than likely, but I would like for us to prepare a running document to really outline the past several years of investments in deferred maintenance. Thank you.
And if I may, council members, to clarify, not just streets, you're talking all deferred maintenance?
That's correct.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you. Just 3 brief comments in response to what I heard up on the dais. Number 1 is the cycle track on Kentucky Street, the city's very first cycle track, is awesome. It's so heartwarming for me to see so many families use that cycle track, to see mothers pushing their strollers in a safe way on Kentucky. That wasn't true 5 years ago. It's true today. So kudos to city staff. The second thing is regarding lane narrowing and Councilmember Coleman's comments and Councilmember Smith's response. It should be noted that when we narrow our roadways and our travel lanes, that it's not just to protect the bicyclist or protect those who are walking on our streets. It's also to protect other motorists. These wide lanes often encourage drivers to just speed and to drive far faster than they ought to. And so these lane reductions actually help encourage slower traffic. And that really is the goal. So that brings me to my third point, in that I think the city really ought to start moving towards outcomes data, really looking at what, as a result of all of this effort, all of our infrastructure improvements and investments, what really have we achieved in terms of the number of, have we seen the number of pedestrian fatalities reduce? Are we seeing that reduction? Are we seeing certain roadways have fewer crashes as a result of some of our improvements in the area? But the more that we can communicate to the public our outcomes, and I know it takes time, but the more that we can think through what those measures are and then also illustrate them for the broader community, the more buy-in we can earn from our constituents and from the community. Because there are lots of folks out there who share the concerns that Mr. Coleman has expressed. And these are good people. They don't want people dying on our roadways. They want safe roads. But I think it's really important for us to continue to engage and have these conversations and share with all of us the data and what we're doing and how it's actually resulted in safer streets. And the more we can do that, I think the more successful we will be collectively as a city over time.
Vice Mayor.
Motion to receive and file.
You have a motion. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Weir absent.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Council and mayor statements.
I think you've all used your quota already. Seeing none? Oh, okay. I don't see anything yet. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry going over my quota, but I did want to give an update on the gel beds issue and the gel beds task force that Councilmember Bashir Tash joined me, and we had a great community conversation sheriff and the DA and service providers, and I've since met with Current Health Systems, with City Manager Clegg, and more conversations with the sheriff and the county. And it's just important, I think, that we stay on this issue and continue to explore all the avenues. There's definitely avenues, and there's definitely pain in the community because of it, and so we need to solve it. Thank you.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of referrals tonight. First and foremost, in Oleander, we removed the decorative historic streetlights and replaced them with new decorative lights, which look amazing, but they currently are not on. They're not energized yet. And so I'm asking staff if we can get an update to the community as to when we can expect those lights to be on. Several community members are asking me about this, and it's a concern because the neighborhood's far too dark at this time. And then the second thing is, there's been a number of constituents who have asked me about garbage cans. Their cans have been picked up or stolen or taken maybe accidentally by a neighbor, but for whatever reason, they lose their brown garbage can. And when they call solid waste, they're charged a fee for the replacement. Oftentimes, it's not their fault. So I would like us to look at other ways in which we can work through replacement trash cans. So we're not always charging the resident a significant fee for something that really isn't their fault. And I have some ideas as to ways in which we might be able to resolve this and a better method so that we can fund a project that works for the city and works for residents as well. But I like to refer this to a committee. I'm not sure what committee this falls under, and I know we renamed the committee, so whatever safe neighborhoods, or I'm not sure what community, there used to be a community services committee, I guess, but I'm not sure that exists anymore.
We can evaluate that, council member,
okay,
and take a look.
So I'll refer it to a committee. All right, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. We've talked about road safety all evening, and all I can think about is how our community lost a 6-year-old child, Asmarat Mayal, and I just wanted to send my thoughts and prayers to her family, and that we're thinking of them. And there are so many faces and people unknown to us who we lose in our roadways in the city of Bakersfield, and it is always one life too many. And I am grateful that we have advocates in our community, we have children in our schools, we have educators, we have staff, we have advocates on the council who are dedicated to making our streets safer so that we can all practice taking care of one another so that we don't see people literally losing their lives in our roadways. So with that, I just wanted to close my comments in memory of that young girl.
Thank you. And seeing no other requests to speak, we stand adjourned at 7:09.